Captain Laura Price stood at the front window of her ship, looking out at space. What she saw made her stomach feel tight. 500 enemy warships surrounded her vessel. 500 against 1. The odds were not good. Her ship was called the Horizon. It belonged to Earth's defense fleet. Laura had been a captain for 6 years, but she had never seen anything like this before. The alien ships were huge, dark, and covered in weapons. They belonged to a race called the Crawl Empire. "Captain, they are calling us again," said Commander Ryan Hughes. He walked up to stand beside her. His face looked worried. Ryan had been her second-in-command for 3 years. She trusted him completely. Laura nodded but did not look away from the window. "Put them through." The main screen flickered to life. An alien face appeared. The Crawl had 4 eyes, rough gray skin, and large jaws that moved when they spoke. This one wore armor that showed he was a war leader. His name was difficult to pronounce in human speech. "Human Captain," the alien said. His voice came through a translator device. "Your time is finished. Give up your ship now, or we will destroy you. You have 1 hour to decide." Laura kept her face calm even though her heart was beating fast. "We came here to talk. We have evidence that proves Earth did not attack your colony. Please look at what we have brought." The Crawl leader made a sound like clicking. The translator said it meant laughter. "We have already seen your fake evidence. The Crawl Council has voted. Your people destroyed our colony world. 2 million Crawl died. Now you will pay the price." "That is not true," Laura said firmly. "The attack came from the Jar Collective, not from Earth. We can prove it." "Lies," the Crawl leader said. His 4 eyes glowed brighter with anger. "In 1 hour, we will tear your ship apart. We will send the recording to your home world. Let them see what happens when humans lie to the Crawl Empire." The screen went dark. The alien had ended the call. Ryan turned to Laura. "Captain, what do we do?" Laura walked back to her captain's chair and sat down. Around her, the bridge crew worked at their stations. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez sat at navigation. Lieutenant Chris Boyd handled weapons and defense. There were others too, all looking at her and waiting for orders. "How long until our fleet arrives?" Laura asked. Amy checked her screen. 18 hours, Captain." 18 hours. They did not have 18 hours. The Crawl would attack in less than 1. "Can we jump away?" Laura asked. The ship had a special drive that could make them disappear and reappear far away, but it took time to charge up between uses. Chief Engineer Greg Walsh answered through the speaker system from down in the engine room. "No, Captain. The jump drive needs 40 more minutes to recharge. We used it when we arrived here. We cannot jump again yet." Laura closed her eyes for a moment. She thought about Earth, her home, her family. Her younger brother Danny still lived there, so did her parents. Earth had 10 billion people. If the Horizon ran away now, the Crawl would think humans were guilty. They would attack Earth. But if she stayed, her crew would die. 147 people served on this ship. Good people, brave people. They had families too. "Captain," Chris said quietly, "we could try to fight. Maybe we could take down a few of their ships before they destroy us." Laura shook her head. "No, that would just make them angrier. They would be even more sure that we attacked their colony." She stood up. "Ryan, open a channel to the whole ship. I want everyone to hear this." Ryan pressed some buttons. A light turned on, showing that everyone on the ship could hear her now. "This is Captain Price," she said. Her voice went to every room and hallway on the Horizon. "In about 50 minutes, the Crawl are going to attack us. They think we destroyed one of their worlds. We know that is not true. We came here to show them proof, but they will not listen." She paused and took a breath. "We are outnumbered 500 to 1. Our weapons cannot stop them. Our shields cannot protect us. If we stay here, we will probably die." In the bridge, no one moved. Through the internal cameras, she could see crew members throughout the ship stopping what they were doing to listen. "But if we run away," Laura continued, "the Crawl will think we are guilty. They will attack Earth. Billions of people will die. So I have to ask you all to make a choice. There are 6 escape shuttles on this ship. Anyone who wants to leave can take a shuttle. I will not think less of you. This is not your fight. She waited. The seconds felt like hours. 1 minute passed, then 2, then 3. Nobody moved toward the shuttle bays. Ryan smiled a little. Looks like we are all staying, Captain. Laura felt something warm in her chest. Pride, maybe, or just love for these brave people who trusted her. Thank you, she said quietly. Then louder. All hands, return to your stations. Prepare for battle. She turned to Ryan. Send a message out on all frequencies. I want everyone in this part of space to see what happens here. Other species need to know the truth. Yes, Captain. And Ryan, Laura added, take us forward, full speed, straight toward their main ship. Ryan's eyes went wide. Captain, you heard me. Take us forward. Amy turned around in her seat. Captain, if we go toward them, they can destroy us even faster. Laura looked out at the 500 enemy ships. They wanted her to be afraid. They wanted her to run away or surrender. They wanted her to act guilty. She would do none of those things. The Crawl respect courage, Laura said. They respect strength. I am going to show them that humans do not back down when we know we are right. Take us forward, full speed. Let them see that we are not afraid. Ryan hesitated for just a moment. Then he nodded. Yes, Captain. Full speed ahead. The Horizon's engines hummed louder. The ship began to move. On the screens, the Crawl fleet grew larger and larger as they got closer. Laura sat back in her chair and folded her hands. Her heart still beat fast, but her face stayed calm. She did not blink. She did not look away. The Horizon moved through space toward the Crawl fleet. On every screen in the ship, the enemy vessels grew bigger. They looked like metal monsters waiting to strike. The bridge was quiet except for the soft beeping of computers and the hum of the engines. Laura kept her eyes on the main screen. She could see the Crawl flagship clearly now. It was 3 times bigger than the Horizon. Weapons covered its surface like spikes on a dangerous animal. Captain, Amy said from her station, we are getting close to their weapons range. In 2 minutes, they can start firing at us. Keep going, Laura said calmly. Chris checked his defense screens. Captain, their weapons are charging up. Multiple ships are locking targets on us. I count over 1,000 missile tubes aimed at our position. Laura nodded but said nothing. Her crew needed to see her stay calm. If she showed fear, they would feel it too. Leaders had to be strong, especially when things looked hopeless. The screen lit up again. The Crawl war leader appeared. His 4 eyes stared at Laura with something that looked like confusion now, not just anger. Human Captain, you move toward us. You move toward your death. Explain this madness. Laura stood up from her chair. She walked closer to the screen so the alien could see her face clearly. We move forward because we are not afraid of you. You bring 500 ships to threaten one. That does not make you strong. That makes you a bully. The Crawl leader's mouth opened wider. The translator struggled to process his reaction. You dare insult the Crawl Empire? I dare to speak the truth, Laura replied. You refuse to look at evidence. You refuse to listen. You just want to kill us to make yourself feel powerful. Well, here we are. We are coming right at you. If you want to destroy us, then do it. But know that the whole galaxy is watching right now. We sent out broadcasts on every frequency. Everyone will see what the mighty Crawl Empire does to a single ship that came in peace. Ryan stood beside Laura now. Captain, some of their ships are powering down weapons. Not all of them, but some. Laura kept her eyes on the war leader. She could see him better now. His skin was rough like stone, and scars covered his face. He was old, she realized. Old meant experienced. Old meant he had fought in many battles. Maybe that meant he would understand honor. War leader, Laura said more quietly. You have fought for many years. I can see that. You have seen many enemies. Tell me, have you ever seen an enemy that came with evidence instead of weapons? Have you ever seen an enemy that advanced toward 500 ships without firing a single shot? The Crawl leader did not answer right away. Behind him, Laura could see other Crawl officers. They were moving around and talking to each other. Their mandibles clicked rapidly. What are you trying to prove, human? The war leader finally asked. That we are telling the truth. That Earth did not attack your colony. That someone else wants us to fight each other so we destroy ourselves. Laura took a step closer to the screen. You are a warrior. You understand honor? Would a guilty enemy charge straight at you? Would a guilty enemy risk everything just to make you look at evidence? We could have run. We could have tried to fight. But we did neither. We came forward because the truth is on our side. Captain, Amy interrupted. We just entered their close defense range. Any of their ships can destroy us now with a single shot. Laura heard the fear in Amy's voice. But she did not look away from the screen. War leader, your weapons are ready. You can kill us all in seconds. But before you do, I ask one thing. Look at the evidence we sent you. Just look at it. If it is fake like you say, then you lose nothing. But if it is real, then you will know that someone played you for a fool. The crawl leader's eyes narrowed. One of his clawed hands moved, pressing something outside the view of the camera. The screen split, showing both his face and some kind of data display. Laura recognized it. He was looking at the evidence files the Horizon had transmitted. Long seconds passed. The crawl leader's 4 eyes moved back and forth, reading the information. His officers crowded around him, looking at screens of their own. The clicking sounds they made grew faster and louder. These weapon fragments, the war leader said slowly. The analysis shows they are Tsar technology. Yes, Laura confirmed. We found them in the debris around your destroyed colony. The Tsar Collective made the weapons that killed your people, not humans. And this trajectory analysis, the war leader continued. He sounded different now, less angry, more thoughtful. It shows the attack ships came from Tsar space, not from Earth territory. That is correct. And these communications you intercepted, they show the Tsar planning this attack. They wanted to make it look like humans did it. The war leader looked up from the data and stared at Laura. Why would the Tsar do this? Because they want our territories, Laura explained. If humans and Kral go to war, we will destroy each other. Then the Tsar can expand into both our spaces. They used your colony as bait. They sacrificed your people to start a war. The Kral leader was silent. His breathing came out in heavy sounds. One of his hands formed a fist. Captain, Chris said urgently. More ships are powering down weapons. I count 60 vessels standing down now. Ryan checked his own screens. Captain, their fleet is breaking formation. Some ships are moving away from attack positions. Laura kept her attention on the war leader. This was the critical moment. He could still order an attack. He could still decide that humans were lying. Everything depended on what he chose to do next. The war leader turned and barked orders in the Kral language. His officers scattered, moving quickly. He looked back at Laura. Captain Price of Earth, he said formally. His tone had completely changed. I am War Leader Karntok. I have reviewed your evidence. It is compelling, very compelling. Laura felt her muscles relax slightly, though she kept her posture straight. Then you believe us? I believe that I must investigate further before I order the death of you and your crew. Karntok leaned forward. You are either very brave or very foolish, Captain. You charged at my fleet. 500 ships. You could not have won. I was not trying to win a battle, war leader. I was trying to prevent a war. Karntok made that clicking sound again, but this time the translator said it meant something like respect, not laughter. You gambled everything on Kral honor. You bet that if you showed no fear, if you stood for your truth without backing down, that I would be forced to listen to you. Yes, Laura admitted. That is exactly what I did. You understand my people well for a human. We have only known each other for 9 years. Karntok tilted his head. How did you know I would not simply destroy you? Laura allowed herself a small smile. I did not know. I hoped. The Kral Empire has existed for 10,000 years. A civilization does not last that long without wisdom. I gambled that you had enough wisdom to at least look at evidence before you killed innocent people. Karntok stared at her for a long moment. Then he made a loud barking sound that the translator could not interpret. But Laura thought it might be laughter. Real laughter this time, not mocking. Captain Price, you have done something today that no one has ever done before. You faced the full might of the Crawl battle fleet, and you did not run. You did not surrender. You just kept coming forward. He paused. I will report this to the Crawl Council. I will tell them about the Jar deception, and I will tell them about the human captain who would not blink. War leader Karntok gave more orders to his officers. The Crawl fleet began to move into a different formation. Instead of surrounding the horizon like hunters around prey, they spread out into an escort pattern. It looked almost protective now. Captain, Ryan said quietly, I think we just made history. Laura sat back down in her chair. Her legs felt weak now that the immediate danger had passed. She had been standing for almost an hour, her body tense and ready. Now the adrenaline was wearing off and she felt tired. Do not celebrate yet, she warned. We still have a lot of work to do. Karntok appeared on the screen again. This time, he was not alone. 3 other Crawl stood with him. They all wore armor with different markings. Captain Price, I want you to meet my senior commanders. This is Battle Commander Vexra, Fleet Commander Torvus, and Intelligence Commander Nakthar. Each Crawl nodded their head when Karntok spoke their name. They have all reviewed the evidence you provided. They agree that the Jar Collective is responsible for the attack on our colony. Laura nodded to each of them. I am honored to meet you. The honor is ours, said the one called Vexra. Her voice was higher than Karntok's, and the translator marked her as female. You have saved many lives today, human captain, both Crawl and human lives. We were ready to invade your homeworld. Millions would have died. That is why we came, Laura replied. War should always be the last choice, not the first. Torvus, who looked older than even Karntok, spoke next. The Crawl Council must see this evidence, but the Council is gathering on our homeworld. It will take us 4 days to reach them. Will you come with us, Captain Price? Will you present your case directly to our leaders? Laura hesitated. Going to the Crawl homeworld meant going deep into their territory. It meant being surrounded by Crawl ships and Crawl warriors. If something went wrong, the horizon would have no chance of escape. But it also meant a chance for real peace, a chance to prevent a war that would kill billions. I will need to contact Earth Command first, Laura said. I need permission to enter Crawl space. Of course, Karntok agreed. Speak with your leaders. We will wait. The screen went dark. Laura turned to her communications officer, Lieutenant Jake Morrison. Jake, get me a secure channel to Earth Command. Priority 1. Yes, Captain. Connecting now. It took a few minutes to establish a secure link across the vast distance of space. When the connection finally came through, Admiral Peter Hughes appeared on the screen. He looked tired and worried. His gray hair was messy, like he had been running his hands through it. Captain Price, the Admiral said, thank God you're alive. We have been monitoring your situation. The whole fleet has been watching. He shook his head slowly. What you did out there, Laura? That was either the bravest thing I have ever seen or the most reckless. Maybe both, sir, Laura admitted. The Admiral almost smiled. The President has been in my office for the past hour. She wants to talk to you personally. Another face appeared on the screen. President Karen Foster looked younger than Laura had expected. She had only been president for 6 months. Captain Price, the President said, I have been watching the recordings of your encounter with the Crawl fleet. You took an enormous risk. Yes, Madam President, but it worked. It did. And now the Crawl wants you to go to their homeworld. President Foster leaned forward. Captain, this is a decision I cannot make for you. The Crawl territory is dangerous. We would have no way to protect you if something went wrong. But if you succeed, you could establish the first real alliance between Earth and another major power. The choice is yours. Laura thought about her crew. She thought about the 147 people who had trusted her enough to stay when they could have fled. She thought about Earth and the billions of people there. Madam President, I think we should go. This is the best chance for peace we will ever get. President Foster nodded slowly. Then you have my authorization. But Captain, be careful. We cannot afford to lose you. I will do my best, Madam President. The connection ended. Laura turned to her crew. All right, everyone. We are going to the crawl home world. I know this is dangerous. I know we will be far from any help if things go bad. But this is important. Anyone who wants to transfer to one of the escort shuttles and head back to Earth can do so. No judgment. Again, nobody moved. Amy spoke up from navigation. Captain, we did not come this far just to leave now. We are with you. The others nodded and voiced their agreement. Laura felt that warm feeling in her chest again. Pride in her crew. Thank you, she said simply. All right, let us prepare for a long journey. Jake, send a message to the Crawl flagship. Tell them we accept their invitation. The next few hours were busy. The Horizon joined the Crawl fleet in formation. Together they began the journey toward Crawl space. Laura used the time to prepare. She studied everything humans knew about Crawl culture. She reviewed the evidence files again and again, making sure she understood every detail. She wanted to be ready to answer any question the Crawl Council might ask. Greg called up from engineering. Captain, I am looking at the Crawl ships. Their technology is impressive, more advanced than ours in some ways. Their engines are more efficient. Their weapons are more powerful. But we have something they do not have, Ryan said. He was standing next to Laura, also studying the Crawl fleet. We have adaptability. Humans can think in different ways. We can find solutions that other species might miss. Laura nodded. That is what saved us today. We did not try to fight the Crawl with weapons. We used psychology. We used their own sense of honor against them. It was risky, Ryan pointed out. Yes, it was, but sometimes risk is necessary. Chris approached with a datapad. Captain, I have been analyzing the JAR weapon fragments that we found. The more I look at them, the more clever the JAR plan becomes clear. They designed these weapons specifically to leave evidence that would point to humans. They studied our technology and created weapons that looked similar. But they made mistakes, Laura guessed. Exactly. Small mistakes. The power signatures are slightly different. The construction methods are different. It would fool a quick investigation, but detailed analysis reveals the truth. Chris shook his head. The JAR spent years planning this. They wanted Earth and the Crawl Empire to destroy each other. Laura felt anger burning in her chest. The JAR had been willing to kill billions of innocent people just to gain territory. They had used the Crawl colony as a sacrifice. 2 million Crawl had died just to start a war. When we reach the Crawl home world, Laura said firmly, we are going to make sure the JAR pay for what they have done. The journey continued through the rest of the day. Laura tried to sleep but could not. Her mind kept replaying the confrontation with Karntok. She kept thinking about how close they had come to dying. 500 to 1. Those odds had been overwhelming. But they had survived. She got up from her small quarters and walked to the observation deck. It was empty at this hour. Through the large windows, she could see the Crawl fleet traveling alongside the horizon. Their ships glowed with running lights in the darkness of space. Could not sleep either, a voice said behind her. Laura turned. Ryan stood in the doorway. Too much to think about, Laura admitted. Ryan walked over to stand beside her. They both looked out at the stars. You know, he said, when you ordered us to advance toward the Crawl fleet, I thought you had lost your mind. I really did. For about 5 seconds, I considered refusing the order. Why did you not refuse? Because I looked at your face, you were scared, I could tell. But you were not panicking. You had a plan, even if it was a crazy plan. And I trust you, Laura. I have always trusted you. Laura smiled. Thank you, Ryan, for trusting me, for staying, for everything. They stood together in comfortable silence, watching the stars and the Crawl ships. Somewhere out there, the JAR collective waited. They probably thought their plan had worked. They probably thought Earth and the Crawl Empire were destroying each other right now. They were in for a surprise. Ryan, Laura said, when we reach the Crawl homeworld, things are going to move fast. I need you to be ready for anything. The Crawl Council might not believe us. They might think we faked the evidence somehow. We need to be prepared for every possibility. I understand, Captain. We will be ready. Laura nodded. Get some rest. Tomorrow is going to be a long day. 4 days later, the Horizon and the Crawl fleet arrived at the Crawl homeworld. Laura stood on the bridge, staring at the planet below. It was beautiful in a harsh way. The continents were dark red and brown like rust. 3 moons orbited the planet, each one covered in military bases and defense stations. Impressive, Amy whispered. I am reading thousands of ships in orbit. Defensive platforms everywhere. This is the most heavily defended planet I have ever seen. The Crawl have been warriors for 10,000 years, Laura reminded her. They have made many enemies. They learned to protect their homeworld very well. Karntok's face appeared on the main screen. Captain Price, we have arrived. The Crawl Council is assembled and waiting to hear from you. Are you ready? Laura straightened her uniform. She had chosen to wear her formal dress uniform today, dark blue with gold trim. She wanted to look professional and respectful. I am ready, War Leader. Good. I am sending a shuttle to bring you to the council chambers. You may bring 2 of your officers with you, as is our custom. Laura nodded. She turned to Ryan and Chris. You 2 are with me. Amy, you have the bridge. If anything goes wrong down there, you jump away immediately. Do not wait for us. Get back to Earth and report everything. Amy's face went pale. Captain, we will not leave you. That is an order, Lieutenant. The mission is more important than any individual. Laura softened her voice. I do not plan on anything going wrong, but if it does, Earth needs to know what happened here. Yes, Captain, Amy said quietly. Laura, Ryan, and Chris took the elevator down to the docking bay. A Crawl shuttle was already there, waiting for them. It was larger than human shuttles, built for beings that were bigger and heavier than humans. The pilot was a young Crawl warrior who bowed his head respectfully when they entered. The flight down to the planet's surface took 20 minutes. Laura used the time to review her notes one last time. She had to present the evidence clearly. She had to make the Crawl Council understand that the Jar were the real enemy. The shuttle landed at a massive building made of dark stone. It looked ancient, like it had stood for thousands of years. Crawl warriors lined the pathway, all wearing ceremonial armor. They watched the 3 humans with their 4 eyes, silent and imposing. Karntok met them at the entrance. Welcome to the Great Council Hall. This building has seen the rise and fall of empires. Today, it will witness the birth of something new. He gestured for them to follow. Come, the council is waiting. They walked through tall corridors decorated with murals showing Crawl history. Battles, conquests, victories. Laura realized that the Crawl were proud of their warrior heritage. She would need to speak to that pride, to frame everything in terms of honor and strength. The council chamber was enormous. 50 Crawl sat in a circular arrangement, all wearing robes marked with complex symbols. In the center was an open space with a platform. That, Laura realized, was where she would present her case. The eldest Crawl, sitting at the highest position, spoke. His voice was deep and heavy with age. The translator identified him as High Counselor Jaxnar. Human Captain, you stand before the Crawl High Council. War Leader Karntok has brought disturbing news. He says that Earth did not attack our colony. He says the Jar Collective is responsible. The High Counselor leaned forward. Prove this claim, or face judgment for the deaths of 2 million Crawl citizens. Laura walked to the center platform. She felt the weight of 50 pairs of eyes watching her. This was it. Everything depended on what she said in the next few minutes. High Counselor, honored members of the Council, she began. I come before you not as an enemy, but as someone who seeks truth and justice. 4 days ago, War Leader Karntok was ready to destroy my ship. He had 500 warships. I had one. But instead of running or fighting, I advanced toward his fleet. Do you know why? The council members looked at each other. Some clicked their mandibles in what might have been surprise. Because I knew I was innocent, Laura continued. Guilty enemies run. Guilty enemies fight. Innocent ones stand firm and demand to be heard. I risked my life and the lives of my crew because I knew the truth would save us. Words are easy, human, another counselor said. This one was female, with scars across her face. Show us your proof. Chris stepped forward with a data device. He projected holographic images above the platform. The first image showed the destroyed Crawl colony world. Debris floated in space around a dead planet. This is what remains of your colony, Laura said. 2 million Crawl died here, but they did not die from human weapons. Chris changed the image to show weapon fragments. These are pieces of the missiles that destroyed the colony. Our analysis shows they were made using JAR technology, not human technology. How do we know you did not fake this evidence? The scarred counselor demanded. Because we found these fragments at the site, Laura explained. Your own investigation teams can verify them. The JAR made a mistake. They tried to make weapons that looked human. But the power signatures are wrong. The construction methods are wrong. A detailed analysis reveals the truth. Chris showed more images. Trajectory paths, energy readings, chemical compositions. Each piece of evidence pointed away from Earth and toward the JAR collective. We also intercepted JAR communications, Laura said. Chris, show them. A recording played. JAR voices speaking in their clicking language. The translator converted it to Crawl speech. The colony is destroyed. The Crawl will blame the humans as planned. When they attack Earth, both species will weaken each other. Then we expand into their territories. The council chamber erupted in angry clicking. The Crawl counselors spoke over each other, their voices rising in fury. High Counselor Jacksnar raised one clawed hand. Silence fell immediately. This communication, how did you obtain it? We have been watching the JAR for years, Laura explained. We did not trust them. They have always been aggressive, always looking to expand. When your colony was destroyed, we immediately suspected them. We intercepted this communication 3 days after the attack. Why did you not bring this to us immediately? The High Counselor asked. We tried, Laura said. We sent diplomatic messages. We requested meetings. But your government refused all contact. The Council had already voted for war. So we sent our ship, the Horizon, to deliver the evidence directly. That is when war leader Karntok intercepted us. Karntok stepped forward. High Counselor, what Captain Price says is true. When I first encountered her ship, I intended to destroy it. But she did something no enemy has ever done. She advanced toward my entire fleet without fear. She demanded that I look at her evidence. And when I did, I saw the truth. The High Counselor was silent for a long moment. His 4 eyes studied Laura carefully. Captain Price, you took a great risk coming here. You are deep in Crawl territory now. If we decide you are lying, you cannot escape. I know that, Laura said calmly. But I am not lying. Everything I have shown you can be verified. Send your own teams to examine the evidence. Contact your intelligence services. They will confirm what I have told you. Another counselor spoke up. This one was younger, with bright orange markings on his armor. Even if what you say is true, it does not erase the problem. 2 million of our people are dead. Someone must pay for that. I agree, Laura said firmly. The JAR Collective must pay. They murdered your people. They tried to trick you into destroying Earth. They played you for fools, hoping you would be too angry to see the truth. The orange-marked counselor's eyes flared. You dare say the Crawl were fooled? Yes, Laura said, not backing down. The JAR thought you would be easy to manipulate. They thought you would attack first and ask questions later. They thought wrong. Because war leader Karntok had the wisdom to look at evidence. Because this council has the wisdom to hear the truth before making a final decision. High Counselor Jacksnar made a rumbling sound that might have been approval. You speak boldly for someone in your position, Captain. I speak honestly, High Counselor. The JAR are the enemy here. Not humans, not Crawl. We should not be fighting each other. We should be working together to punish those who caused this tragedy. The council chamber went quiet. The counselors looked at each other, communicating in ways Laura could not fully understand. Finally, the High Counselor spoke again. Captain Price, the council must deliberate on what you have presented. You will wait outside while we discuss. War Leader Karntok will escort you to a waiting chamber. Laura bowed her head respectfully. Thank you, High Counselor. I trust the Council will make the right decision. She walked out of the chamber with Ryan and Chris following. Karntok led them to a smaller room with comfortable seats designed for humans. Once the door closed, Ryan let out a long breath. That was intense, he said. Do you think they believed us? Chris asked. I do not know, Laura admitted, but we gave them the truth. Now we wait and see what they do with it. 3 hours passed. Laura paced back and forth in the waiting room. Ryan sat quietly, reviewing data on his portable screen. Chris had fallen asleep in one of the chairs, exhausted from the tension of the past few days. Karntok stood by the door like a statue. He had not moved since they entered the room. Laura wondered if all Crawl warriors had such patience. War Leader, Laura said, breaking the silence. Can I ask you something? You may ask. When you first encountered my ship, what made you decide to listen to me? You could have destroyed us immediately. Why did you wait? Karntok turned his 4 eyes toward her. Because you confused me, Captain. Every enemy I have ever faced either tried to run or tried to fight. You did neither. You advanced. That made me curious, and curiosity saved your life. Just curiosity. No, Karntok admitted. There was something else. When you spoke to me, you did not beg. You did not plead for mercy. You stated facts and demanded respect. That is how warriors speak to each other. In that moment, I realized you were not afraid of death. You were only afraid of being wrong. And someone who is not afraid of death but is afraid of being wrong, that is someone who speaks truth. Laura smiled slightly. That is a wise observation, War Leader. I have lived for 63 Earth years, Captain. I have fought in 42 battles. I have learned to read people, both Crawl and other species. You are honest, even when honesty is dangerous. The Council will see that too. The door suddenly opened. A young Crawl warrior entered and spoke rapidly in their language. Karntok responded, then turned to Laura. The Council has finished deliberating. They are ready to announce their decision. Laura's heart began to beat faster. This was it. She woke Chris gently, and the 3 humans followed Karntok back to the Council chamber. The 50 counselors sat in their places, but the atmosphere felt different now. Less hostile, more thoughtful. High Counselor Jacksnar spoke. Captain Price, the Council has reviewed your evidence thoroughly. We have consulted with our military experts, our scientists, and our intelligence services. We have verified the weapon fragments. We have analyzed the trajectory data. We have authenticated the intercepted communications. Laura held her breath. We conclude that your evidence is genuine, the High Counselor continued. Earth did not attack our colony. The Jar Collective is responsible for the deaths of 2 million Crawl citizens. Laura felt relief wash over her like a wave. Ryan squeezed her shoulder gently. However, the High Counselor said, and Laura's relief turned to caution. This creates a new problem. The Jar Collective is powerful. They have a large fleet and control significant territory. If the Crawl Empire attacks them alone, the war will be long and costly. Many more Crawl will die. Laura saw where this was going. High Counselor, are you asking if Earth would be willing to help? I am asking if humans would stand with Crawl against a common enemy. The Jar killed our people. They tried to trick us into destroying your people. They are a threat to both our civilizations. Laura thought carefully before answering. This was not a decision she could make alone. High Counselor, I cannot speak for my entire government, but I can tell you what I think. The Jar Collective has shown they will use lies and murder to achieve their goals. They will do this again if we do not stop them. So yes, I believe Earth would stand with the Crawl Empire against the Jar. The scarred counselor spoke up. An alliance between Crawl and humans. This would be unprecedented. Our species have never worked together before. Maybe it is time we started, Laura said. The galaxy is large. There is room for both our civilizations to thrive. But only if we work together against those who would destroy us. The young counselor with orange markings stood. High Counselor, I support this proposal. The human captain has shown courage and honor. If all humans are like her, then they would make good allies. Other counselors began to speak, some in favor, some against. The debate continued for several minutes. Laura stood quietly, letting them discuss. This was their decision to make. Finally, High Counselor Jacksnar raised his hand again. The council will vote. All in favor of proposing an alliance with Earth, raise your right hand. Slowly, hands began to rise. Laura counted them silently. 32 hands, more than half. The motion passes, the High Counselor declared. The Krull Empire will formally propose an alliance with Earth. Captain Price, will you carry this message to your leaders? I will, High Counselor, and I will recommend that Earth accept. Good. The High Counselor stood, and all the other counselors stood with him. Captain Laura Price of Earth, you came to us in peace. You stood against overwhelming odds to speak truth. You have earned the respect of the Krull Empire. From this day forward, you and your crew will be considered honored guests of our people. Laura bowed deeply. Thank you, High Counselor. This means everything to me and to my crew. There is one more matter to discuss, Karntok said, stepping forward. The Jar Collective. They must be punished for what they have done. But we must be careful. If we attack them without proper planning, many will die on both sides. The High Counselor nodded. War Leader Karntok is correct. We must plan carefully. Captain Price, how quickly can you return to Earth and bring back a delegation to discuss strategy? Laura did some quick calculations. 10 days, High Counselor. 5 days to reach Earth, and 5 days to return with our diplomats and military leaders. Then we will wait 10 days. In the meantime, we will gather intelligence on Jar military positions and capabilities. When you return, we will plan our response together. The meeting concluded. Laura and her officers were escorted back to the shuttle. As they lifted off from the planet's surface, Chris let out a long whistle. We actually did it, he said, sounding amazed. We prevented a war and created an alliance. This is going to change everything. Ryan nodded. Earth has never had a major ally before. We have always been alone in the galaxy. This changes our entire strategic position. Laura looked down at the Krull homeworld growing smaller below them. Yes, it does. But we cannot celebrate yet. We still have to convince Earth's government to accept the alliance, and then we have to deal with the Jar. When they returned to the horizon, the crew erupted in cheers. Amy was grinning so wide, her face looked like it might split. Captain, you did it. The whole crew has been watching the news feeds. Earth is going crazy. Everyone is talking about you. They are calling you a hero, Jake added. Some people are saying you should run for president. Laura laughed. Let us not get ahead of ourselves. We still have a long way to go. She sat down in her captain's chair and addressed the crew. All right, people. We are heading back to Earth. Set course and prepare for jump. We need to get home as fast as possible. Yes, Captain, Amy said, her fingers flying over the navigation controls. The horizon turned away from the Krull homeworld. Around them, the Krull escort fleet took up formation again. They would travel with the horizon to the edge of Krull space, ensuring safe passage. As the ship jumped into faster-than-light travel, Laura finally allowed herself to relax. She had been running on adrenaline for days. Now, exhaustion hit her like a physical weight. Captain, Ryan said gently, you should get some rest. We have 5 days of travel ahead. You need to sleep. You are right, Laura admitted. She stood up slowly. Amy, you have the bridge. Wake me if anything happens. Yes, Captain. Laura walked to her quarters and collapsed on her bed without even removing her uniform. Sleep came quickly, deep and dreamless. She woke 8 hours later feeling better than she had in days. After a shower and a hot meal, she returned to the bridge. The crew was in good spirits, laughing and talking as they worked. Captain, Jake called out, we are receiving a transmission from Earth. It is President Foster. She wants to speak with you privately. Laura went to her ready room, a small office next to the bridge. The president's face appeared on the screen, and she was smiling. Captain Price, I have been watching the news from the Krull homeworld. You have done something extraordinary. The Krull have officially proposed an alliance. Our entire government is in emergency sessions discussing it. What is the consensus, Madam President? Everyone agrees that an alliance with the Crawl would be beneficial. They are powerful, and having them as friends instead of enemies changes everything for Earth's security. The Senate will vote on it when you return. Laura felt hope growing in her chest. Do you think they will approve it? I think they will vote yes by a large margin. The public supports it too. People are tired of feeling alone in the galaxy. They want allies. They want friends. President Foster leaned back in her chair. Captain, when you return, there will be ceremonies, medals, speeches. You are going to be famous. Laura made a face. I do not want to be famous, Madam President. I just want to do my job. The president laughed. Too late for that, I am afraid. But do not worry. After the ceremonies, you will have an even more important job. I want you to lead the human delegation for the alliance talks. You understand the Crawl better than anyone. You have earned their respect. You are the perfect person to represent Earth. Laura thought about that. It would mean more time away from regular duties, more responsibility, more pressure. But it would also mean helping to shape the future of human-Crawl relations. I accept, Madam President. I will do my best. I know you will, Captain. See you in 5 days. 5 days later, the horizon emerged from faster-than-light travel near Earth. Laura stood on the bridge, looking at her home planet through the main view screen. The blue and green world had never looked more beautiful. Home, Amy said softly. I was starting to think we might never see it again. But we did, Ryan replied, because the captain bet everything on a crazy plan, and somehow it worked. Laura smiled. It was not that crazy, just very risky. The communication system came alive with dozens of signals. News ships wanted interviews. Military vessels were requesting status updates. Even civilian ships were sending messages of congratulations. Captain, Jake said, sounding overwhelmed. I am receiving over 500 communication requests. What should I do? Ignore everything except official military channels, Laura ordered. Connect me to Earth Defense Command. Admiral Peter Hughes appeared on the screen almost immediately. Captain Price, welcome home. You have no idea how good it is to see you alive. It is good to be home, Admiral. Requesting permission to dock at Station Alpha. Permission granted, but be advised, there are about 10,000 people waiting at the station to greet you. The press, politicians, civilians. Everyone wants to see the captain who stood down a Crawl fleet. Laura groaned. Admiral, cannot we dock somewhere quieter? The Admiral laughed. Sorry, Captain. You are a hero now. You have to accept that. But do not worry. We will have security to keep things organized. Just smile and wave. The Horizon docked at Station Alpha 30 minutes later. When the airlock opened, Laura was greeted by a crowd of people cheering and clapping. Camera drones flew everywhere, recording everything. Laura felt overwhelmed by the noise and attention. President Foster stood at the front of the crowd. She shook Laura's hand firmly. Welcome home, Captain. The entire planet has been watching your journey. You have made Earth proud. Thank you, Madam President. But I could not have done it without my crew. They deserve recognition too. They will get it, I promise. But right now, the people want to see you. The president guided Laura to a platform where microphones had been set up. The crowd quieted down. Laura looked out at the sea of faces. Humans of every age and background had come to see her. She saw children sitting on their parents' shoulders. She saw elderly people with tears in their eyes. She saw hope on their faces. Thank you all for coming, Laura began, her voice being broadcast across the station and to Earth below. A week ago, I faced an impossible situation. 500 Crawl warships surrounded my vessel. The odds of survival were almost zero. But I had something more powerful than weapons. I had the truth. And I had a crew that believed in me. She paused, looking back at her crew members standing behind her. These brave men and women chose to stay when they could have fled. They trusted me to find a way through. They are the real heroes of this story. The crowd cheered louder. Laura waited for the noise to die down before continuing. Today, I bring news that will change everything for humanity. The Crawl Empire has proposed a formal alliance with Earth, They want to work with us, to stand with us against common threats. This is the first time in human history that a major galactic power has offered us friendship instead of hostility. More cheers. More applause. Laura had to raise her hands to quiet them down again. But this alliance comes with responsibility. The Jar Collective murdered 2 million Krull citizens and tried to make it look like Earth was responsible. They wanted us to destroy each other so they could take our territories. The Krull want justice, and so do we. In the coming weeks, Earth and the Krull Empire will work together to make sure the Tsar face consequences for their actions. President Foster stepped forward. Captain Price will lead the human delegation in alliance negotiations with the Krull. She has earned their respect and ours. I can think of no one better suited for this crucial task. After the speeches, Laura endured hours of ceremonies. She received the Medal of Valor, Earth's highest military honor. Her crew members received commendations. Reporters asked endless questions. Politicians wanted to shake her hand. It was exhausting. Finally, late in the evening, Laura was allowed to return to her quarters on the station. She collapsed on the bed, still wearing her dress uniform. A knock on the door made her groan. "Come in," she called out. Ryan entered, carrying 2 cups of coffee. "Thought you might need this." "You are a lifesaver." Laura took the coffee and drank deeply. The hot liquid helped clear her tired mind. Ryan sat down in the chair across from her. "So, leading the delegation. That is a big job." "Too big, maybe. I am a ship captain, not a diplomat." "You are whatever Earth needs you to be," Ryan said. "And right now, Earth needs someone who understands the Krull. Someone they trust. That is you, Laura." Laura sighed. "I just wanted to prevent a war. I did not ask to become some kind of galactic ambassador. Nobody asks for greatness. It just finds them." Ryan smiled. "Besides, you are not doing this alone. Your crew will be with you." "We always are." "Thank you, Ryan. That means a lot." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, drinking their coffee. Finally, Ryan stood up. "Get some sleep, Captain. Tomorrow we start preparing for the delegation. We have a lot of work to do." After Ryan left, Laura changed into comfortable clothes and lay down properly. Sleep came slowly this time. Her mind kept racing with thoughts about the future, the alliance, the Jar, the responsibility she now carried. The next morning, Laura met with a team of diplomats and military strategists. They spent hours discussing what the alliance with the Krull should look like. What terms were acceptable? What concessions could Earth make? How would they coordinate military actions against the Jar? Admiral Hughes led the military planning. The Jar Collective has approximately 800 warships. That is more than the Krull fleet that surrounded you, Captain. If we are going to confront them, we need a solid strategy. The Krull are sending war leader Karntok with 300 ships, Laura informed them. Earth can contribute another 200. That gives us 500 total. Still outnumbered, but not as badly. "The key is coordination," said General Kate Murphy, head of Earth's Tactical Command. "Humans and Krull have never fought together before. Our technologies are different. Our tactics are different. We need time to train together." "How much time?" President Foster asked. "At least 3 months of joint exercises, maybe 6 to be really effective." The president frowned. "That is a long time. What if the Jar decide to attack during that period?" "Then we fight with what we have," Laura said. "But the general is right. We need to learn how to work together. The Krull are aggressive fighters. They charge straight at enemies. Humans are more tactical. We use strategy and misdirection. If we can combine both approaches, we will be stronger than the sum of our parts." The discussions continued for 3 days. Finally, they had a proposal ready to present to the Krull. Laura and her team prepared to return to Krull space. The night before departure, Laura received a message from her family. Her mother's face appeared on the screen, tears running down her cheeks. "Laura, sweetheart, I have been so worried about you. When I heard you were facing 500 enemy ships, I thought I would never see you again." "I am fine, Mom. I promise." Her father appeared next to her mother. "We are so proud of you, honey. What you did out there, standing up to those aliens, that took real courage. I just did what had to be done, Dad. Her younger brother Danny pushed his way into the frame. My sister is famous. Everyone at my school keeps asking me about you. They want to know what you're like. Laura laughed. Tell them I am boring. I read tactical manuals for fun and drink too much coffee. I will tell them you are awesome, Danny corrected, because you are. They talked for an hour, catching up on family news and life on Earth. When the call ended, Laura felt better. No matter what happened with the Alliance or the Jar, she had family who loved her. That was what really mattered. The next day, the Horizon departed for crawl space again. This time, they were not alone. 3 diplomatic ships and 10 military escorts went with them. President Foster had appointed Ambassador Linda Hayes to handle the formal negotiations. Laura would serve as military advisor and liaison with Karntok. The journey took 5 days. When they arrived at the Crawl home world, they were greeted by the same massive fleet as before. But this time, the Crawl ships flew in a formation of welcome, not threat. Karntok met them personally at the landing platform. Captain Price, you return as promised. The Council is eager to begin discussions. The negotiations took 2 weeks. Humans and Crawl worked through every detail of the alliance. Trade agreements, technology sharing, military coordination protocols, emergency response procedures. It was complex and sometimes frustrating, but both sides were committed to making it work. Finally, the alliance treaty was complete. Both governments would ratify it in a joint ceremony to be held on neutral ground, at a space station between Earth and Crawl territory. The ceremony was magnificent. Representatives from dozens of other species attended as witnesses. President Foster and High Counselor Jaxnar signed the treaty together while cameras broadcast the event across the galaxy. Today marks a new chapter in galactic history, President Foster declared. Earth and the Crawl Empire stand together as allies and friends. We will face the future side by side. High Counselor Jaxnar spoke next. For 10,000 years, the Crawl have stood alone. We trusted no one. But Captain Laura Price showed us that courage and honor exist in other species too. She walked forward when 500 ships surrounded her. She did not blink. She did not run. She stood for truth, and truth saved us all. The audience applauded. Laura stood on the stage with the other delegates, feeling overwhelmed again. This was really happening. Earth had its first major ally. After the ceremony, Karntok approached Laura. Captain, there is something I want to give you. He handed her a small medallion made of dark metal. Strange symbols were carved into it. What is this? Laura asked. It is a warrior's mark, given only to those who have proven themselves in battle. You faced my fleet without fear. You earned the respect of every Crawl warrior who witnessed it. This mark shows that you are considered one of us now, a warrior of honor. Laura felt tears forming in her eyes. War leader, I do not know what to say. This is an incredible honor. You earned it, Captain Price. Wear it with pride. That night, Laura stood at the observation deck of the space station, looking out at the stars. Ryan found her there. Thinking about the future? He asked. Yes, everything has changed so fast. A month ago, we were alone in the galaxy. Now we have allies. Now we have friends. And now we have to deal with the Jar, Ryan added. Yes, that is next. Laura touched the warrior's mark hanging around her neck. But we will not face them alone. We will face them together, humans and Crawl, side by side. Do you think we can win? Laura thought about that question. The Jar were powerful. They were cunning. They had proven they would do anything to achieve their goals. But they had made one critical mistake. They had underestimated humanity. They had thought humans would run or give up when faced with overwhelming odds. They were wrong. Yes, Laura said finally, we can win. Because we have something the Tsar do not have. We have courage, we have honor, and we have each other, Ryan smiled. Then let us show them what happens when they mess with Earth and the Crawl Empire. Laura looked out at the stars again. Somewhere out there, the Jar Collective waited. They probably still thought their plan had worked. They probably thought Earth and the Crawl had destroyed each other. They were in for a very unpleasant surprise. The galaxy was about to learn an important lesson. Humanity did not back down. Not from 500 ships, not from impossible odds, not from anyone who threatened what they loved. They outnumbered her 500 to 1. She still walked forward without blinking, and that made all the difference. The screen went dark. Laura sat alone in her ready room, thinking about everything that had happened. A week ago, she had been facing 500 enemy ships, certain she was about to die. Now she was heading home as a hero, carrying the promise of a new alliance that would change the galaxy. It was almost too much to believe. Karntok remained with them. Captain Price, you spoke well in there. You showed respect but also strength. The Council will appreciate that. I hope so, War Leader. What do you think they will decide? Karntok was quiet for a moment. I think they will believe you. The evidence is too strong to ignore. But what happens after that, I cannot say. The Council moves slowly. They will want to verify everything. Laura nodded. She understood. The Crawl had to be careful. They could not afford to make another mistake. All they could do now was wait. Ryan saluted and left. Laura stayed at the window, watching the stars until her eyes finally grew heavy. When she returned to her quarters and lay down, she fell asleep almost immediately. She dreamed of Earth, of her family, of peace. Tomorrow, she would fight for all of those things. Not with weapons, but with words and truth. And somehow, she would make the Crawl Council understand. She had to. Too many lives depended on it. Laura nodded. Thank you, War Leader Karntok. That is all I ask. However, Karntok added, this is not over. The Jar Collective must answer for what they have done. They killed 2 million of my people. They tried to trick us into destroying Earth. This cannot stand. Laura thought about that. The Jar Collective was dangerous. They had proven they would do anything to expand their power. What are you suggesting, War Leader? Karntok's eyes gleamed. I am suggesting that perhaps the Crawl and humans should have a conversation. A longer one than this. About what to do with enemies who use such cowardly tactics. Laura understood what he meant. He was talking about working together, an alliance. She looked around at her crew. Ryan nodded. Amy gave her a thumbs up. Chris grinned. War Leader Karntok, Laura said. I think that is an excellent idea. Let us talk. 500 to 1. Those were bad odds. But sometimes, odds did not matter. Sometimes being right was more important than being strong. Sometimes, courage was the best weapon you had. She hoped today was one of those times. The horizon moved forward through the darkness of space. One small ship heading straight toward an armada that could crush it like an insect. But Laura did not stop. She did not slow down. She did not blink. She just kept going forward.